Hey, what's up, fathers, dads? This is Muhammad, rightsoffathers.com. I want to talk to you guys about how mothers use the system for parenting alienation and other shady tactics to break fathers from relationship with their children. So mothers they use a lot of different techniques, to break a relationship between a father and their child. I can tell you from personal experience. A lot of what most mothers do is when the relationship hit the fan, they always sort of leave with like it's always like there's like always sort of like a bitterness, even if you split amicably, in my story, we split amicably. In fact, I thought it was pretty peaceful. We had an agreement, and we were like, okay, you go your way, I go my way, and it should be all good, 50-50, and so in my story, we had, a 50-50 agreement, custody, child placement, everything was spelled out to the letter, you do this, I do this, we both agreed, we went to mediation, and it was certified and filed into the court, so what happened was, it wasn't like, maybe like a year and a half into this whole, shared custody, shared placement agreement that I realized it actually was not. It was, I remember I started to notice, my son, at that time my son, he was pretty young, so he couldn't really tell me what's going on. I think he was like, when we separated, he was like 3 years old. But it was just little things that I noticed, like, he started like developing weird, behavior. He just started acting different, as a parent that, is in their child's life, you're going to notice oddities when that your son is or daughter is displaying when, something's not going right. So, I just kind of just let it slide, I just kept being part of his life, try to help him. And I think it was one time, I got a call while I was at work from his school, he started school pretty early. His mom put him in like one of those like pre-K kind of things, and they, I just started to get calls like, that, he's having like behavioral problems and all kinds of weird stuff, and it just doesn't make sense, because when he's with me, he's pretty normal, just like any other kid. So I was trying so hard to figure out, why is it that when he's having so much problems when he's at his mother's or at school, and I just, for the life of me, couldn't figure it out. He had a pretty like decent life. We were both taking care of him. His mother, she seemed like, the type that would actually care for a child on a surface, but it wasn't until I asked the school for his records that I saw some really disturbing things. The first few things that I saw was that he was placed on like, Ritalin, and that's really what I took issue with that personally, because based on our custody agreement, both parents were supposed to notify each other of anything to do with, medical decisions or medical treatments, procedures, especially, psychiatric. That's a pretty big deal. I had to have been notified about that. So I'm reading, this report, and I'm seeing like, he's been, admitted into like psychiatric trauma center, and I mean, mind you, he was only like literally like 5 years old, which is extremely unusual. In fact, I think it's insane, to be honest with you. And I wasn't really mad about that. I was more mad about, the reasoning behind it. Um, what they were saying, what they were claiming or alleging, I should say, was that, oh, he's a victim of abuse, and because he's part African, because I'm African, he's exhibiting like violent behaviors, and I mean, they had so much bullshit in there that, when I read it, I was so devastated. I called the mother immediately. And of course, the mother just, completely disregarded everything that I said, didn't refuse to answer any questions. So when I ask her anything, she will never answer. She will just, ask me something else. It was like I'm talking to a dummy or something, like a mannequin or something, like, and I felt extremely disrespected, like, how could you do something like that, especially based on false pretenses. You're making all these false claims to psychiatrists and psychologists, and damn well that our custody agreement specifically has it so that you're not to exclude me from these kind of decisions. And of course, she never responded, So I filed a motion in court, And so when we went to court, and I basically said that the mother is in violation of our custody agreement. And what happened? The judge took away all of my rights just because, I'm disputing psychiatric claims that were made. So it was at that moment that I realized that this whole time the mother had been actually like plotting and planning, and she had a whole strategy in place. And I believe she actually had an end goal of eventually removing him from my life, and that was like part of her strategy. And like this is like one of the major techniques that women make to remove a child from their parent. They make false claims to the schools. They make false claims to psychiatric centers and psychologists. They're making all this, extreme exaggerations and false narratives about the parent, blaming the other parent for a child having issues in school, which you don't really know why. It could be maybe the mother's boyfriend is beating them up. You don't really know, but to exclude the father in the whole process, it just tells you that they had like an ulterior motive. They weren't really trying to help him. They really were just plotting some sort of future strategy to remove him from your life. But at that time, I wasn't as knowledgeable as I am right now. I didn't know, I didn't really know the system that well. I've never been in this situation. This is my first child. My parents are not from America. I grew up in Asia, so I didn't really know the system. In fact, I didn't know nothing about like kids going to a psychiatric center. That's, insane to me, especially where I'm from. That never, like, that's like unheard of. Only in America such nonsense exists. So believe it or not, I was so mad. I sued the doctors. I sued everybody. I sued the school. I took it to federal court, and I mean, like, it should have been like a slam dunk victory because there's literally a contract that was violated. But when I went to federal court, you're not going to believe, what actually happened. Because I didn't, at that time, I actually worked for the feds. I worked for Social Security, and I was actually working in the same federal building that I filed a claim in. And everything was going good. I sued them. I put in my claim. it was progressing. We went all the way to interrogatories, and in the interrogatories, I asked, all the specific question. Did you notify me about this? All these things. And that's when the federal judge pulled some kind of weird trick, man. Like, I'm telling you, like, what he did was, I remember vividly. I was working one day, right? I had like 5 hearings that day. I was like a court clerk, you know what I'm saying? And so I had like 5 hearings that I had to like be part of. I couldn't just, get out of it. It's a federal case that people have been waiting for like over 20 years, you know what I'm saying? And at the, and I arrived, I was just, I was working, and all of a sudden, all of a sudden, I got a phone call, and I didn't answer it, because I was I was in the middle of a case. And all of a sudden, the judge sent a freaking U.S. Marshal at me. Can you believe that? A fucking U.S. Marshal? He sent the fucking U.S. Marshal and forced me to fucking answer this call. And when I answered the fucking call, guess what? The mother was on the fucking call, and some fucking random attorneys that I don't even know. I think they must be representing the state interest or something. And the judge literally somehow tricked me into getting the case dismissed. You know what I'm saying? And he did it in such a trick way by, like, what he kept saying was like, I don't have the power to do anything. I don't have the jurisdiction. He kept saying shit like that. And not my stupid ass, first of all, I shouldn't have even answered the call. But the second, well, I was forced to, but I should have been able to reserve my rights, and I shouldn't have, answer any of his questions. I should have rescheduled, and that's because I would have thought clearly then, because I was like, imagine getting pulled out of a court case that people have been waiting for like 10, 15 years, because I was, overseeing all the disability claims. So it wasn't something that I could just remove myself from. It was something beyond me. It's a federal case, literally, you know what I'm saying? So half of my attention was like, freaking out about being removed in the middle of a case, and there's a judge waiting, the claimants were waiting, their attorneys were waiting, they're all waiting for me, and I'm over here talking in front of like a federal guard, you know what I'm saying? And I couldn't even think clearly, and that's how the case got dismissed. Literally, that kind of fraud, you know what I'm saying? So that was like one of my major eye-opening experience, that I saw mothers are willing to go to whatever extreme to basically remove a child from a father's life. That's like, okay. And then of course there's other strategies that they use. They use things like like false allegations. They're gonna just make like unverified blanket claims. They'll say, he's abusive to the child. Like, okay, well, where's your proof? You know what I'm saying? Where's your proof that this kid was abused? I could say the same thing about you, but I'm an honorable person. I'm not just going to just make false claims without having, verified proof, whether I see some kind of marks, or, my son tells me something, or I see something with my own eyes, then I can make that kind of claim. But I can't just make a claim and say, I think this guy's getting abused, How do I know you're not the one doing it? You know what I'm saying? But obviously when you go to family court, you're going to realize, like, it doesn't matter. They could say, yeah, you violated him and beat him up and do all kinds of crazy things, and they don't need, especially if you don't know your rights, you don't know the law, you don't know how to protect or reserve your rights. They're going to make all these claims, and the judge, he'll let it go, because if you don't know how to respond, he's not going to help you. He will help the mother, but he's not going to help you, you know what I'm saying? And when she kept saying all these things, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, like, oh, don't worry, the judge, he'll figure it out. This is all bullshit. There's no proof. There's no paperwork. There's no doctors. Nothing. There's no doctor's note. There's no pictures. Nothing. She's just making a blanket statements. Sure enough, all of those, every single thing she said, he took that into consideration simply because I didn't know how to properly respond. I didn't know the law at that point. Even though I worked in federal court, I knew the law just like, most people know the law from like Law and Order type shit. Like, you are not guilty, but in reality, it's it's nothing like that. It's more like, the old, you ever see like the old slave movies when like a white person, makes a false claim against a slave or something? It would be like that type. It's like that type of court. I'm for real. It's literally like that. Especially if you're a minority, like a black person, which is the main reason I made this channel, is to help black fathers specifically. I mean, all fathers in general. I consider all human beings the same. Like, we're all the same. We're all literally, just Homo sapiens. We're all the same, but for whatever reason, black people are just looked upon differently, So yeah, like, that's like one of the things that mothers would do. That's like literally like one of their trump cards, what I'm saying? It's the false allegations. Now, another thing that another shady things that mothers do to remove their child from their parent is they'll use a guardian ad litem. What they'll do is they'll hire like some kind of expensive attorney, and then they'll almost always request for a guardian ad litem, because the guardian ad litem represents the state, and the state interest it rests upon the mother, because the mother, she's the one signing up for WIC, she's the one signing up for food stamps, she's the one signing up for all this psychiatric treatments and all this bullshit that that's like part of their agenda to remove the child from the parent, from the other parent, or from the father. And all these guardian ad litems, they're all trained, to help the mother, because they have authority to go, to access medical records, all these things, go to the school. They have direct access. They are the district attorney. They literally are. Like, my son's guardian ad litem is literally a DA. You know what I'm saying? In fact, my son's mother's attorney is also a DA. I'm gonna expose all of y'all. I'm serious. It's coming soon. So don't worry. Your names, everything is gonna be exposed. So right now I'm just gaining momentum. I'll start releasing all this information. And I'm hoping. I don't care, like I said, even if it helps one father, I've won. You know what I'm saying? I'm not using this channel to be like successful and rich or none of that bullshit. I'm already successful. I don't need this channel to be successful. You know what I'm saying? The only purpose of this channel is to help single fathers. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to be single, even if you're a mother. You know what I'm saying? 1 second, I gotta answer this call. Alright guys, I'm back. I'm sorry I had to answer that call. Yeah, so anyway, like I was saying, they use the guardian ad litem. And the guardian ad litem, he can do a lot of damage to you, because first of all, their interest is to remove you from the picture, especially if you actually care about your child. They're gonna find anything to basically use that as a weapon against you. Like, in my son's case, the weird thing is the guardian ad litem for my son's case was actually he was actually a person that I knew, not like personally. We were never cool. He was always like one of those lames in college. He played basketball, and he was like a 7 foot, like skinny, like dumbass dude. You know what I'm saying? And we always knew, like, this dude, like, some, you know what I'm saying? He just wasn't that kind, he just wasn't that dude, man. So, but anyway, when he would, like, took over as my son's guardian ad litem, I didn't know that, like, he had, like, a prior relationship with my ex, and all this crap. And at first I thought like, oh, I know this guy, you know what I'm saying? And I know players from the basketball team, so I hit him up, I was like, yo, what's up, man? His name is Greg. I was like, yo, what's good, man? And the way he responded, I knew immediately like something wasn't right, cause like I was just trying to talk to him like somebody that I knew, I ran across in college, like, hey man, it's been a long time, how you been, kind of thing, and he literally, like, the way he responded to me, he was talking to me like we were in the middle of a court hearing, you know what I'm saying? And it was at that moment that I realized, like, this dude is on some bullshit, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, like, he invited me to his office and he's asking me all these stupid questions. I told him the whole story. And next thing I know, man, this dude, like, went to court, man. Like, he didn't really do me that bogus, but he was pretty bogus, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was, like, covertly bogus, and who knows what they're doing, like, on the back doors and, in secret, and secret letters to the judge. You don't really know, because this is family court is a private proceeding. You don't really, like, get to see, like, all the record is not public. Like, only part of the record is public. The part of the record that's like, not all of it is public. The paperwork that's filed is public. And the hearing that has a recorder, an actual recorder, is public. But 90% of all my hearings had no recorders. It was all like in a private proceeding, so technically it never happened, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, man, to make a long story short, man, they did my son bogus, you know what I'm saying? And all I'm trying to do is just stand up for him, I'm trying to tell him, like, hey man, you guys are just trying to hurt my child, man. This guy, like, obviously you guys are making this complicated. It's a very simple case. We have a contract. She violated the terms. Either punish her or just give me my kid and let us go our separate ways. But nah, man, they're bringing all this bullshit, bring this expert, bring that expert, bring all this bullshit, you know what I'm saying? And all this kept going on because I didn't really know I didn't know shit about the law at that moment. I knew just the very basic, like the movie basic kind of shit, And man, it hurt, and I was like, wow, like, this is really how America is. Like, this is like, I've lived all over the world, no country on earth, like, it's like America when it comes to family court. I've heard Australia is bad, they're kind of like America, maybe the UK, but they're still not as extreme as America, you know what I'm saying? And even America itself, certain states are not as bad as the state that I was in, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is like one of the worst states to have a child. That's why it's called a women's state, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are so many better states. Like, I heard Florida is like really good when it comes to child, equal rights type parenting thing. I heard Tennessee is good. I heard Arizona is good, where they have like sort of like a default 50-50, unless the father is freaking crazy. But yeah, man, like, I'm telling you, man, these people, man, they are so fraudulent, man. They literally, like, I think what they're doing is they're part of like some kind of, conspiracy to basically, I don't know, either to destroy man or to somehow, like, give women some sort of like extra powers. I don't know, but all I know is they did my son bogus, you know what I'm saying? They did him dirty. They pretty much ruined his life, and my only chance is, hopefully before he gets too old, I'm able to get him back, and then, I can reverse some of the damages that was done, but they definitely damaged him, they put him through so much shit, man, So yeah, the mothers, they're gonna use guardian ad litem. That's why I always, in my opinion, I'll say, if you're going through a child custody case, don't ever contract with a guardian ad litem, even if they force it upon you. don't cooperate, meaning don't sign anything, don't agree to it, don't pay the guardian ad litem fees, just totally like exclude him, you know what I'm saying? And only talk to him based on paperwork, ask him to provide you a proof of claim of who he is, who does he represent, who pays him, ask him those kind of questions, and then you get that, you get it notarized, you file that into the case so it's public record, you know what I'm saying? That's what you're gonna have to, that's how you deal with a guardian ad litem. Now, another things mothers do to remove a child from a father's life is they use other men, you know what I'm saying? They use other men by, basically like giving up their bodies. Like, the mother of my son, she's for the streets, so she goes out there, get, as many simps as she can to basically back her, you know what I'm saying? And then use those simps to be part of her agenda to remove a child from your life. So you better be mindful of that, so obviously, if you got your shit together, your mind is right, you're a strong man, you're not a fucking beta simp, you're gonna be able to deal with all these dudes. Like her fucking dude is such a simp. Like, he won't even be able to look at me in the face. Like, if I go to pick up my son, he runs away, he's that kind of a simp. So I don't have a problem with, I don't care like who she, what she does. So that part didn't really affect me that bad, but it can affect you a little bit at first, you know what I'm saying? Man, there's so many ways that women, they like the mother's strategy to remove a child from a father's life. That's why I'm saying, you got to be on your P's and Q's, before you go through, if you can. Sometimes it's outside of your control, but if you can, you got to be prepared, you know what I'm saying? Meaning you got your mind is right, your money is right, and you have a solid plan, and the best thing that you can do, even though they're gonna violate whatever agreement, you know what I'm saying? All that mediation, all that shit, it's bullshit. The best thing you can do is put a contract together, a private contract, and then serve it to the mother. You know what I'm saying? Give her the opportunity to respond. Give her 10 days. She doesn't respond, get a notary to send her a follow-up. She doesn't respond, you get a default judgment. And when you get that default judgment, you record it with the county. And when you record that with your county, you file that into the case, and then you just wait for whatever to happen. She files a motion for modification or for full sole custody, whatever. Then you present that into the case. In fact, that's the only thing you need to do. Do not answer any other questions. Do not talk about anything else. All you're going to do is just basically present this case, present your paperwork. If you do anything else outside of that, you're going to lose. All right? I guess that's it for now. I hope, you got something out of this video. I hope this video helps any father out there that needs help, but that are hopeless and don't know what to do. I really hope this video reaches you. I sympathize with fathers that are going through child custody. It's really messed up. It's the worst thing about America. America's a good place, but the family court, that's the worst thing about America. And it might be the reason America, I'm just saying, like, the karma that they're gonna get out of this is, yeah. So anyway, until next time.